We're underway for the afternoon session. Free practice number 2 here for the World Superbikes at the Emilia-Romagna round. And let's just see, Dave, what is going to happen, as this morning was a little bit up in the air about what we were going to witness in terms of pure pace. This afternoon looks a little bit better. Let's cross over to our commentators at TNT.
It's on a production bike, which will be absolutely phenomenal. The photographers are all getting a good glimpse of the riders coming out of the pit lane. Alvaro Bautista, Ducati do not want to exercise their clause to carry on with business between them. And Alvaro Bautista was pretty scathing in his interview before the weekend started and said, I wanted to uphold my agreement, but Ducati haven't. Whether that's because Ducati have asked Alvaro Bautista to accept a greatly reduced fee, which I'm sure they have, and Alvaro's not accepted it, but there's a confirmation that Ducati won't take up the option. It's not decided, I don't think, that they are parting ways. Fino Forti here walking across the garage. All the top brass will be coming here. Stefano Domenicali will be here.
Sorry, Claudio Domenicali.
Claudio, yes,
Stefano
that's the Formula 1 guy,
is the Formula 1 man who's now running Liberty, ex-Ferrari.
Right under a bus there. And
sorry, Claudio Domenicali at Ducati, sorry.
I think that they'll all be here this weekend to discuss every permutation of what can happen with Alvaro Bautista, because he is still one of the top riders in the championship. So I think it's just going to have to be Alvaro Bautista accepting his new value. He is no longer worth £750,000, £1 million to battle for the championships. Nicolo Bulliger, who's probably been on, what, 200, 250, now he deserves the big bucks, because he is the man to go for the championships for them, as he's proven last year, as he's proven again this year. Marco Rinaldi back into Superbikes as well from Supersport. Let's see how he goes on the R1. But yeah, Alvaro Bautista, I think it's a little bit of humble pie he's got to be eaten this weekend.
Strong words, aren't they? But there's no love lost between Domenicali and Bautista. Remember, they had a really public falling out the first time at the end of 2019 as well. Then they forgot all about it, got back together, won 2 titles, and now he's been beaten by Bulliger, and it seems as though they've fallen out again. Here's the Italian, also half Venezuelan actually, Michael Ruben Rinaldi. Disastrous start to the season by his high standards. He was on the Supersport TMT bike, so far down, hardly scored any points actually across the opening few rounds of the season. Tito Rabat, unfortunately, has lost his place at the Moto X Yamaha team, so joining Bahatin Sofoglu now is Rinaldi, so he's back in Superbikes, and he has been on the podium here 7 times and won twice, including that incredible weekend with 2 wins, and then another problem, and that's Vandermark again. Now, this is the first time this bike's run since a crash this morning. He was already furious, and this is not going to improve the Dutch rider's mood, is it?
I wouldn't want to be a BMW engineer when this grand man comes into the garage again. Look at the nervous faces.
They need to get their hard hats on, because something's going to be thrown quite hard in a second. Oh dear.
Yeah, that's Marcus, isn't it? Marcus Eschenbacher, the chief engineer to Michael van der Mark, and here he comes. There seems to be there's a throttle connection problem with the injectors of some sorts, because when he opens the throttle, nothing happens, and then something ignites afterwards. So whatever they've done to rebuild the bike, there is an issue here, and things like that, as we saw with Jonathan Ray earlier in FP1, Greg, with a wiring loom. When you have to change the electronics on these bikes, it can take a long time.
We might need to cover our ears here, James, as Vandermark comes back into the garage. If we do venture in with the camera, yes, let's just listen, dare I say it.
So when he opens the throttle, it doesn't put any fuel in, basically, and it almost stalls. You can see he's biting his lip even in that helmet, can't you?
Yes, you could see it through the eyes. I have to say, well done, Michael, to restrain yourself there. I suppose he thought there's no point getting angry with the guys, but that's Giannone sliding down through turns 13 and 14. Well, remember I said at the top of the coverage at the beginning of the day, it's Friday the 13th today. I think Vandermark's the one who's been hit by the bad luck. But Giannone back out after that crash at Moss. That kept him out of all 3 races. and he's fighting for his future. We don't know, do we? What? I think we've got 4 riders, is it, James? 3 or 4 who are actually confirmed for 2026. The rest of them, it's all very much up in the air.
Yeah, Axel Bassani and Alex Lowe's on the Bimotor. We saw that was confirmed last time out in the Czech Republic in Most. I think we've got Ryan Vickers on a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
But where Ducati put him, here he is, right on cue. Oh no, he's at the 47. I thought it was Ryan there on Ducati, but that's Axel Bassani, one of the riders we were just talking about. And that is, yeah, like you say, obviously Toprak Ducati going to MotoGP, and Nicola Bullega has just signed for the factory Ducati team.
Locatelli as well.
Locatelli, that is it, isn't it?
So that's 5 riders by our reckoning, and that's it.
Yeah, a lot of chairs, and the music is starting to stop, isn't it? So let's see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Who are the contenders for all the different rides? I mean, there's so many of them. Please get in touch with us as well on social media and all of the TNT Sports channels, and also James M. Towsend, M as in Michael, James M. Towsend, and Greg Hayes TV to tell us what you think is going to happen, what would you like to see happen, because there are so many possibilities for riders moving around, whether it's 6-time world champion Jonathan Rea, double world Superbike champion Álvaro Bautista, and many others. And then you've got to throw into the occasion the likes of Oliveira, Marini maybe, Miller. They're all being linked to this paddock. Let's see what happens. Riders from Supersport, Jaume Masia, Janan Aldi Mahendra, Bo Benschneider, and that's Montella. He's in the running potentially for an Aruba seat, maybe next year or the year after. Vierge's just been passed. Vierge, we can tell you, we've heard his management are talking with BMW, and we think BMW might be replacing Van der Mark as well. So they've got 2 slots to fill there. It's a really dramatic silly season. We'd already had one a couple of years ago with the switch around for Toprak, and Jonathan moved, and this is the biggest silly season I think we've had for a very, very long time.
I think it's very good for World Superbikes that Toprak and Nicola Bullega might be moving on in 2027, because you can tell that Toprak and Nicola, we've been looking at the races over the last few rounds, Greg. They are 1 second faster than last year, just those 2 guys, and that's why they've got such a gap on the next battle to third with Petrucci and Bautista, etc., and Sam Lowe's and all the rest of them. So when you get to that level as a rider, you are exploiting the maximum possibilities on these production bikes, and your riding skills have developed beyond these bikes, and that's when you need to go to a MotoGP bike to have a shot there. And Toprak and Nicolo certainly deserve that. Man of the moment here at the minute. 5 races in the top 6. He's man on form is Sam Lowe, so I look forward to seeing how he does in this FP2, but there's no time set. Obviously, he's still not been able to get out yet, so that's a lot of time lost for the Lincolnshire lad. Let me just see if there's a replay here. Oh, he's got... Oh, no, something just cut out, hasn't it, on him? Coming out the last corner, something cut out on the bike.
Yeah, he's done 2 laps, so that was the end of the out lap, coming around to start his flying lap, and like you say, something's cut out. So he must have coasted his way back round and come into the pits again.
Yeah, one thing I was just going to say, for the Superbike Championship...
He's waving at himself as he sees that replay.
It's good that Toprak's moving on. Here he is, the world champ. Is going to be 3 times champ when he goes to MotoGP. I wouldn't bet against him, but it's going to be a fabulous battle, hopefully, until the last race in Jerez on October 19th. Is it going to go right down to the wire? I hope so. But when Toprak goes to MotoGP, which he should do, he deserves to be there. He's box office. MotoGP are very, very fortunate to have this man as a showman in their show. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, because if you've got TNT Sports, he's going nowhere. Because MotoGP, World Superbikes, British Superbikes, Speedway, we've got it all in TNT Sports. So you're not going to miss this man racing. So it's the value to everybody else in the championship that benefits. Because when you've got a Toprak or you've got a Bulligan now, all the rest of the riders' value is very, very difficult to calculate, because they have no chance of battling for the championship. So when you're negotiating with these teams, I want this amount of money, they're like, well, why? You can't win for us. There's no chance of winning for us. Gardner's crashed as well, obviously, on the left-hand side. So everybody's value drops dramatically. But when the riders go away, it's nice to see Gardner walking off, but when these top riders move on, then all of a sudden there's a plethora of riders that have a chance of winning championships. Then all of a sudden the value in the market can reset again.
Unfortunate for Remy Gardner then. This is turn 3. He was 4th fastest as he exits stage left. Early doors here in Friday afternoon practice. 4th, top of the Yamahas in the opening session earlier on today. And where will Remy be, I wonder, because there's talk of him moving up naturally to maybe the Patamax's team, staying in the Yamaha family. BMW surely must be talking with Remy Gardner. And the yellow flags are out again, so I think that might be another incident. I'll let you know in a second if I get something up on the timing screen, unless the graphic just disappeared and came back on the screen again, which I think actually is the case. Thankfully, nobody else has crashed. But look, oh, by the way, never mind that. I'll come back to that. Toprak's just in a 33.1, and that is almost on the sort of pace he was doing this morning, James, despite the track temperature being, what, 10 or 11 degrees hotter. And what's happened there? Someone else has gone down, so there is another incident. After all, it's the last corner.
Isn't that Michael? Ruben Rinaldi's bike?
It's a Motor X Yamaha. It's perhaps a Foglu. Third crash of the day, James, and he's second at turn 16 because he's already been down on this corner earlier on today.
Looks like Locatelli was in close proximity to him, so whether they've collided together, we are not sure. Hopefully we'll get a replay, but as you can see there, Bati and Sofoglu's team, they are a little bit bewildered at the minute why the Turkish rider is crashing so much this weekend here in Misano.
Oh dear. Now, most of the teams have tested here, as we've already said a few times. Buliga's on a personal best lap, but well, in fact, he's just gone over the line, Buliga, on a 33.0, and it's not quite the fastest of the weekend. He's 300th down on what Toprak did this morning, but I'd be surprised if that stands. In fact, the yellow flags have gone, so maybe Buliga got through and the yellow flags had already gone in after the Sofoglu incident, but dear oh dear, 3 crashes already today then here for Sofoglu. Quick pause, we'll leave you for a moment on TNT Sports, but we will be back. Well, I fear we're going to have more incidents here. I certainly hope we don't, but I fear we will, with these track temperatures now nudging on 50 degrees Celsius. The Michel Fabrizio-esque nodding of the head there for Agata. His head sort of bops up, doesn't it, as he hits the brakes. Very distinctive style for the Swiss rider. This is an unusual situation. Alvaro Bautista, this is a double world champion, a triple world champion, of course, if you include his 125cc Grand Prix world title as well. And we're talking about not just Bautista, but Jonathan Rea as well. Amazing, James. 8 World Superbike titles between them, and they're both still yet to put pen to paper for 2026.
You know, they're getting towards the 40, and obviously over 40 here with Alvaro Bautista. Jonathan Rea getting towards the latter part of the 30s, shall we say, politely. And it doesn't get any easier. You know, with people like this, Nicola Buliga, young and hungry and committed on the best bike, arguably, on the grid. It's very, very difficult to keep up, especially the Yamaha's been down on hot top speed, hasn't it, this year. It's not easy to compete against this V4 Ducati. Gigi Dell'Igna looks on. Nice to see him here on a Friday as well. That says a lot, doesn't it? He's not just here for the big days, the race days. He's coming here on Fridays just to see exactly what's happening, how Nicola Buliga is kind of performing. He's obviously signed the contract where he tests the 2027 Ducati on Pirellis. So it's interesting to see the development from him as well.
This is afternoon practice here for round 6 of this year's World Superbike Championship. We're at the halfway point of the season at the end of this weekend. Just a reminder that the Bennett's British Superbike Championship continues next weekend at Snetterton in Norfolk. So plenty of action at the moment here on TNT Sports with MotoGP, BSB, World Superbike, and of course World Endurance as well. We also have the Le Mans 24-hour car race featuring none other than Valentino Rossi. That's all live this weekend. Look for that on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus. In the meantime, as Locatelli moves up to 6th place, Nicolo Buliga is flying, and here he is down to Misano corner here on the Misano circuit. He's proudly using the Italian crash helmet design there with the holiday colour scheme. And what's this going to be for the Ducati rider? Over the line he goes. He has lost a tad look, but only 100th of a second. Is it too early to suggest we're on target for a Buliga treble, I wonder, this weekend? He already has a 31-point championship lead over Toprak Razgatlioglu, who, judging by what we've seen so far, Toprak, very, very rapid on the single lap, but are the BMWs lacking the consistency on the long runs?
I think it could be an epic race. As it stands right now, Buliga and Toprak, they are outstanding compared to the rest of the field. They are 3/4 of a second faster than anybody currently on the circuit. Bit of dust there. I hope that wasn't someone going straight on. No, Petrucci's okay, so maybe just a gust of wind there into that first section. But yes, the top two once again. It has been a two-horse race, hasn't it, this season, and arguably last season as well. Axel Bassani looking like he's got a bit of a rear end problem of offloading. I'm not sure on the throttle or on the brakes, but he was saying it really the spring returns too quickly and offloads that rear end somehow. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Andrea Locatelli in the first section here, 0.9 off. Look, Locatelli's 7th, 0.8 of a second. It's not a bad position, is it? 8th, but it's so far away from being competitive on trying to win races.
Let's have a bit of fun then, shall we, James, as we watch Jari Montella. Oh, so scary, isn't it, down there? Look at that, 271 kilometres per hour as you throw it down into the Cavonia. When the track used to go the other way around, of course, you were building up speed, weren't you, through what were then left-handers. Now they are right-handers down to the Caro hairpin. You can see where the number 11 is on the graphics. That's his current position. 5 is his race number, and as he comes up through the different sectors, the 11, his current position, is replaced by another number, and that's projecting where he's going to go based on his sector time so far. So, is he into the top 6? Over the line he goes? No, but he does move up into 9th position. This is a rider who is being touted as potentially taking Bautista's seat. Certainly not if next year, maybe next year, or the year after. I'm going to put you on the spot. Here's a bit of fun. If you were a Aruba Ducati right now, James, right here today, who would you be selecting, knowing Bautista's not staying, to join Buliga next year?
A youngster, because without Toprak, Buliga's got this covered, hasn't he? Pretty comfortably, you'd have to say. Especially on the brand new V4 Ducati that's coming out the Panigale with the double-side swinging arm. It looks like an absolute rocket ship. Yeah. So on paper it looks comfortable for Buliga to win. So then you can gamble a bit more on bringing a youngster up and developing their skills. Montella's one of them. Zwama Masia, all of a sudden his name's been touted around, and not surprisingly, because his performances on that V-twin has been absolutely outstanding as well. And you don't become a Moto3 champion for nothing as well. So that's Sven Blush there, head of motorsport in the BMW squad. We saw them all, didn't we, on the table doing the announcement yesterday for Toprak going to MotoGP. Michael van der Mark was also on the table. And they were hinting that they still were in negotiations with him, but it was a bit of a lonely meeting for Michael compared to Toprak. I felt a bit sorry for him.
Yeah, you do feel sorry for him, and it makes you wonder if he's not staying at BMW. Where might he go, Michael van der Mark? Here's his namesake, Rinaldi, over the line on the number 12 Moto X Yamaha. What do you think BMW are going to do then? If they don't keep, obviously Toprak's gone, if they don't keep van der Mark, what do you want? An experienced rider like a Xavi Vierge or someone like that, and then a hot shot? Or would you do a Gardner maybe? Would you want a Grand Prix rider? Or would you rather have somebody who already knows Pirelli tyres and Superbikes?
The best of the rest, you've got to look at the championship. You've got Petrucci, you've got Locatelli, you've got Sam Lowe's coming up now, getting some confidence, but you know, you're keeping the Ducati family really. Iannone, when he's not injured, can he be consistent enough to battle for championships? I'm still yet to be convinced. This man here, Domi, he seems to have reached a bit of a glass ceiling, and I think he'll be maybe going down to Supersport next year.
Jonathan Rea?
Jonathan Ray's been really unlucky, hasn't he? Yamaha aren't happy, he's not happy, so it might be just best to part company after a couple of years and move on. So Jonathan Ray's not a bad shout, big profile, right on cue there, number 65, with it all out of shape. So yeah, Petrucci, Jonathan Rea, but for me, potential with his age, Remy Gardner. I think Remy Gardner on a Yamaha, satellite Yamaha, I know it's got factory support, but he's been getting some fabulous results, and on a fast bike like the BM with his riding style, Moto2 champion as well. They don't give them out on cornflake boxes either. So let's maybe give Remy an opportunity on it.
Yeah, I think Remy's going to have a few options in this paddock. Jonathan Rea to Honda is another wild rumour that's doing the rounds as well. And we stress these are rumours. It's that time of year. But, you know, why wouldn't Honda want to have a chat with Jonathan Rea? Why wouldn't Jonathan Rea and his manager, Chuck Axon, want to have a chat with Honda? It does make sense as Buliga just gets rid of some of that sweat from his forehead. Can you blame him? It's track temperature nudging on 50 degrees Celsius here now as we compare the styles down into the park chicane. So we start with Buliga.
Yeah, look at the front fork there, the gold forks just working very nicely, not too much movement or chatter on the V4 Ducati as he changes direction from right to left. Here is Toprak flings that right leg out, 2 fingers on the brake on the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the screen as you're looking at it, and look, just kisses his toes on the way in, and then that knee slider just hits the floor. That judges how much lean angle you've got. You can see the front end of the BMW, a little bit more vibration, a little bit more movement, so it doesn't seem as stable, the BMW, between turn 1 and turn 2. Another V4 Ducati, the Padawan of Andrea Iannone, just going into the first corner there. Doesn't dangle the leg like the other riders, but he a bit old school as Iannone. But once again, kisses the track with his knee, and then the foot on the inside comes onto the toes on the foot peg when you change direction on the bikes. It's quite physical, this first part of the circuit here at Misano, because you go right, left, right, don't you, all the way down to turn 4, and it's very physical to change the direction on it.
Go 11, another option for Jonathan Rea, it would appear as well. Whether it would be to replace Iannone or perhaps a second bike alongside Andrea Iannone, time will tell. Speak of the devil, here he is, the Northern Irish rider, number 65 on the Patamaxis Yamaha. Now, unfortunately, Jonathan is on the back foot here because they had problems with, I think you said it was a wiring loom, didn't you, James, when you went down to check it out with them over the lunch break. Here he comes, flying past the camera at Tremonto Corner. Brilliant angle there from down on the ground. But yeah, he's on the back foot because he's missed pretty much the whole of the morning session. This is a track, of course, on which Jonathan sadly suffered a very nasty injury, if you remember, the high-speed crash on the opening lap of race 1. Just down here it was, into turn 13 last year. As we look down on Alex Lowe's on the Bimotor, now one personal target of his, I'm sure, will be to get back in front of his teammate in the championship, Axel Bassani, and they are separated only by 2 points at the moment. Axel is 10th, Alex is 11th with the half steel trellis frame. You can see the red parts there in the middle of the bike, and he's improved. That's his best lap so far. He goes up then from 6th to 5th.
Yeah, not a bad lap at all from Alex. Bimotor, big weekend for them as well. All the top brass of Bimotor will be here on to Saturday and Sunday as well, just like Ducati. I think you could argue that this is definitely more of a local home race for Bimotor than it is for Ducati, because Bologna is about, what, 2.5 hours away from here, and obviously Rimini is only 40 minutes away, so Bimotor, a lot of pressure. Nicola Bulliga has got a commanding kind of lead over the third place guy. He's only got to worry about Top Rack at this minute, but 31 points in the championship that this man is in the lead of Top Rack is comfortable, but it's not comfortable enough to make any silly mistakes in these long sessions. Just keep it smooth, keep the focus, keep the concentration. Don't let the home crowd, don't let the swanky new helmet design that you've had for this weekend to put you under a little bit too much added pressure to perform. He didn't perform last year, did he? So there's a lot of pressure on this young man's shoulders, especially when you've got people like Gigi here, Davide Tedozzi, I'm sure, and Domenicali will be here as well, the big boss of Ducati. So to keep calm on a factory Ducati is not an easy job.
There's just certain riders who Ducati become very, very emotionally attached with, aren't there? And Bulliga is definitely one of them. They were close with Michael Rinaldi as well, although that was more of an Aruba connection, to be honest. Rinaldi's big fan was the man who runs Aruba, the Italian domain service, cloud service, internet-based company here in Italy. But certainly for Bulliga, he's like a child, isn't he, for the likes of Gigi Dell'Igna and Claudio Domenicali and all of those guys. And as we've said before, we're still yet to see an Italian rider winning a World Superbike title on a Ducati. We have had an Italian world champion, of course, with Max Biaggi twice on the Aprilia in 2010, and then again 2 years later in the closest ever finish when Biaggi beat Tom Sykes by just half a point, if you remember, famously in 2012. But they don't ever seem to get too flustered, do they? They were furious, of course, with those problems they had, James, back at Assen when he had the same problem in successive races, and the second one stole a certain victory away from Nicolo with just 2 laps to go, but they bounced back, didn't they? But even after that, he knows he has the support of the factory behind him, because they then sent Pirro, the test rider, here to Misano to test that batch, ruled it out, and that was the problem solved, thankfully for them. Now, Taz McKenzie, I'm glad we're seeing Taz, the Scot, former BSB rider, of course. It's so difficult because we know what he can do, James, but for the World Superbike Team Principals, how tough would it be for Taz to prove what he can do when he's on, with respect to the team, an MA Honda, which is clearly off the pace?
It's really off the pace. Real shame. In the wintertime, They were testing the factory parts from the year previous, and then he did the same lap times as the factory riders in that test at Jerez. And then obviously this year the factory boys improve and increase their positions and their performance, and the MA Honda once again is stuck then being a second off the pace. And it's just it's that kind of like Constantina effect of like getting a bit closer with a few new parts and then drifting further away when it's a satellite team. But the MA Honda at the minute, I mean, Zadie is doing 37s, 4.6 seconds off. I mean, it's not even super sport times, Zakwan Zadie. And then Mackenzie 35.9s. I mentioned it this morning, and you know, 35.9 was my lap time in 2007 on a Fireblade. I mean, this Fireblade on screen right now, 18 years on, it must be better. The tyres are better, the technology must be better. So I don't understand why they've got the factory team going much better than it was, 34.1. So what's that? That's like nearly 2 seconds faster than we were 18 years ago. That's normal. But 35.9 for Taz, I really feel for Taz is better than that. I'm not sure what the MI Honda team are doing with the bike, but it's certainly not working, and I really hope that they find something to help, because to come and put this amount of dedication into the job and all the focus on it, it really needs to up for Taz's opportunities, Greg.
Budiger on top then, he's just at the fastest time of the afternoon with just under 19 minutes to go. So, Budiger P1, Toprak is second, but Toprak is one of several riders who's not yet actually improved on his best time from the morning. In fact, there's more riders who have not improved than those who have. So, who's gone quicker this afternoon than they did this morning? Budiger, Alex Lowe's, Iannone, Locatelli, Montella and Gerloff, and then a few towards the back, but that's pretty much it in the leading runners. So we're going to see riders going quicker, I imagine, towards the end of this session. They're just focusing now on race setups, because this is the closest sort of weather we're going to get to what we'll have for the 2 long races happening here this weekend. The races start at 2 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. It's now 3:30. So, unless it rains, which is very unlikely, the forecast doesn't say rain. There's thunderstorms forecast perhaps for the area on Monday, but very unlikely, I think, that it's going to affect the race weekend. So this is now the closest track temperatures we'll get to what they've got to deal with in the long races here this weekend.
Oh, Alvaro, he's pushing through the right-handers. Here comes Sam Lowe's out the box, Mark BDS. Will they run 2 bikes next year? Who will they be deciding to be on that bike as well? There's a lot of riders that would love to be on a V4 Ducati for Mark BDS. So Alvaro Bautista, Scott Redding just behind him. Scott Redding is 15th at the minute, 1.3 off, but he's predicted to just move up 1 or 2 places with the slipstream of Alvaro Bautista. Alvaro goes up to 3rd. Provisional on the front row here in practice. And Scott Redding, he goes up to 14th.
Ike Lecuona here, hopping all over the place. The reason is he's just had a crash here at Misano at turn 4. We're yet to see a replay. This is the first we've seen of him since the message came up on the screen informing us that he's had an incident. But Lecuona on the Honda has gone down into turn 4, the right-hander, where Bautista crashed out of the lead here, if you remember, in one of the races back in 2019. It's going to be a classic Rio corner front-ender, and it is.
Downhill into first gear, just pushing it a little bit too much. The corners are so fast around here at Misano, but there's a few areas you've got to be really disciplined. It's like Miller's hairpin at Phillip Island. When you go through Stoners, that fast turn 4, you've got to be so disciplined to not outbrake yourself before you go in there. And then that turn 4 here at Misano is the same. You go through turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and you get quicker and quicker and quicker. And then when you could drop down the hill to turn 4, you've got to hit your mark, because it is downhill, off camber, and if you rush it a little bit, the front can wash out.
So just under 16 minutes to go. Toprak removes a tear off there from his visor. They have 2 or 3 of those depending on what they prefer, and the brand of crash helmet as well. Bautista now on his best lap of the afternoon so far, could potentially here move up into 3rd position, and he does. Bautista goes 3rd. No connection at all here with Super Pole or the qualifying running order as we have in MotoGP, but they're pushing on for laps, and in Batista's case, of course, he's pushing on for his World Superbike future as well. Now, one of the rumours in the paddock is that he's going to go back to Honda. I don't know what you think about that one, James. I can't really see that happening, but then again, he did fall out with Ducati before and went back there, so I guess stranger things have happened with 15 minutes to go. Could he go to BMW? That's another option. He could retire, of course, and go home to Grace and their two beautiful little girls who are here in the paddock this weekend. But this is the latest from Stefano Ciccone, the team principal. There is no decision on the seat or any name yet. All we know is that the seat is free. Maybe a rookie, as James suggested before, maybe a new name, maybe an experienced rider. It's all open. Ciccone giving nothing away.
Well, it sounds, not giving nothing, but it sounds like the opportunity for Alvaro, though, is closed. Because he's giving the options, isn't he? You know, maybe a rookie, maybe this, maybe that. It's not maybe Bautista still, is it, though, still? Unless
we know he's gone.
Unless he's putting it in the experience bucket, because he's definitely that at 40 years old. But yeah, it's a shame. It always happens to all the riders. You know, when you get to 40 years old, you just go over that crest of performance. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how many championships you've won, how many races you've won in the past, you are as good as you are today. That's what matters.
You're only as good as your last race, as they say. 14 minutes to go. We were briefly on board there with Toprak, but got some break-up from the camera. That is Sam Lowes with the Mark VDS Ducati, and he stopped, as you can see for yourself. Not for the first time this year, unfortunately, with a technical problem. That's just about as far away from the pits as you could be as well. He's on the service road on the outside of Tremonto Corner at turn 10. So it looks as though Sam is going to lose, annoyingly for him, the last 14 minutes. Agata, in the meantime, on the GRT, has just jumped up into 7th position.
Toprak out of the turn 8, the La Quercia, which is the oak tree, and you can always see on the opening shots with the of the circuit that one tree just on top of the hill. That's what it's referring to. And you probably know the history to the tree, do you, Greg? Or not? No, I'm not going to throw you under a bus there. That's a hospital pass there. You can have a go.
It was planted in 1814 by a local man, Paolo Giovinazzi, who was a local baker. You're believing this, aren't you?
I won't put it past you.
I haven't got a clue.
Won't put it past you.
I haven't got a clue.
That's good though. You could have just kept that going.
You would believe it, that, wouldn't you? Now I know how easy it is to...
Yes.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, Martin Cross, our producer, has just said get him back with the Italian quiz. Thank you, Martin, because Martin sent me some fantastic trivia here earlier on, James, and I forgot to ask you.
Are you going to get me back now, are you?
Here's a question Martin, our producer, has given to me for you. For JT, what traditional Italian... It's like the chase, this.
It's not, it's really not.
Where's Bradley Walsh when you need him? Which traditional Italian dish is Misano known for?
Ooh. Misano, traditionally known for... Well, obviously the pizza's from Napoli.
Yeah.
The bolognese is from Bologna.
Yeah.
And the Misano...
Yorkshire pudding's from Yorkshire.
The Misano. Oh, the Misano. Is it the minestrone from Misano?
Not a bad guess. It's the Piadina Romagnola. There's a photo of it for you. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Well, who was it who had it on the helmet?
It's
not long ago.
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's an Italian flatbread with ham and cheese.
Yeah, I could recommend
nice.
it as well. It's banging.
Yeah. Anyway, you are watching live motorcycle racing here on TNT Sports. And Toprak Razgatlioglu, in the meantime, is absolutely flying, and we might be on target for our first 132 of the weekend. Petrucci moves up into 5th place. Is Toprak going to be close enough to the 32s? I think he is. He's in the 3rd sector. This is Budiger. We're on board with Budiger, and we're starting a flying lap here. But Toprak is now 2/10 inside. We are definitely on target for our first 132 of the weekend. The race lap record here is held by Toprak, and it's a 32.6. He's not going to be far off his own race lap record from last year. This is Rio Corner for Budiger in the meantime, but Toprak is heading for the line. He's over the line, and he's done a 132.9.
Turn 6, turn 7 down the back straight here. The turn 7 is just this kink here on the left before you drop down into turn 8. Listen to that V4 Ducati. All the way up to 5th gear, then back down to 3rd, usually on a V4 Ducati around this turn 8 downhill off camber. From turn 8 into the turn 9 kink on the right. Then all the way down to 1st gear. You can hear the gearbox going down into turn 10, the hairpin.
Yellow flags are out again, as you can see at the top of the screen, so somebody's hit trouble. Oh no, it's Michael van der Mark again. It's Tremonto corner. You might have just caught a glimpse of it action on the outside as we ride with Buliger. Montella on the Barney Spark Ducati has just moved up into third position. That will do the rumours of becoming Buliger's teammate no harm whatsoever. But Michael van der Mark has crashed and rejoined, I'm pleased to say, so at least some positivity. But Buliger, in the meantime, we're on board here with what might end up being the fastest lap of the day so far. Through Misano corner, 10 minutes to go. Bring the bike upright, punch up the power, don't touch the green paint, over the line. Are we fastest? Yes, we are, on a 1:32.7.
Wow. These two are in a league of their own. Nearly 0.9 of a second it is to Montella. Nicola Buliger and Toprak Razgatlioglu are raising the bar lap after lap. Here it is, turn 16 for the Turkish rider, world champ. He's 0.3 off, so he's got one good lap, but look at the difference. Half a second it drops. Is this the softer option here that Toprak's got on? And Nicola Buliger, let's see his consistency. And once again, van der Mark comes into the box, and he will be once again disappointed about how this weekend's going.
Change tyres and we go again. Lost the front, he says. Here it is, look on the left-hand side of the screen. There he is. Oh, that was a strange one. That's almost a carbon copy of what Jonathan Ray's done here in the past, and Alvaro Bautista.
Yeah, exactly that. I was just thinking that. Alvaro Bautista, he veered back onto the line. It was very, very dangerous for Alvaro Bautista as Nicola Buliger comes flying through. They said change the tyre, so he's obviously going to put a softer one in, I would imagine, or just a new one to try and just get some consistency. That's what Michael van der Mark needs to show for the last 8 minutes coming to. Look at this, though. Consistency of Nicola Buliger, metronomic pace at the minute. He couldn't get the better of Toprak in all 3 races. He was second in all 3 races last year. But is he going to turn the seconds into first? Toprak's going to have to be on top form, is he?
Buliger goes even quicker by another 24 thousandths of a second. Tommy Raponi, his crew chief, ever the professional, notes that down as he keeps track of what's going on. And this is why, certainly in my opinion, Buliger is now the favourite for the title in 2025. Back with Jari Montella. He's absolutely flying. He's ahead critically, of course, of Alvaro Bautista.
Do you know what, with Nicola Buliger's bike on the rear end, they've got a new subframe and fuel tank, and it's so low. Oh, Jari Montella absolutely pinned through the fast section. That's wonderful stuff from the young Italian. But you can see Jari, it's lower, isn't it? So are all the Ducatis adopting this lower position on the bike? It's maybe not good for the changing direction because of the lower mass. It's more difficult to change direction when it's lower. But is it better for wheelie? Because as we know with the ride height device on the bikes in MotoGP, when it squats, it doesn't wheelie as much because it's not pivoting on the back, and then they're able to use more horsepower and less anti-wheelie, less electronics, so more horsepower as they drive out the corner. Is there something that Ducati found, as Marco Bonobo just puts a thumbs up there? And I'm not surprised because Montella is third and Petrucci is fifth, so both of his rider securely inside that top 6.
Yeah, Roger Burnett was suggesting that to us, wasn't he, when we bumped into him in the paddock this morning? He said Montella and perhaps another of the Ducati riders have followed in the footsteps of Buliger and lowered the bike, so that's very interesting. We need to keep a really close eye on that, don't we? Let's have a look at the back of the Ducatis as the sessions go on here across the weekend. Buliger P1 from Toprak and Montella. Bautista, in fairness to Alvaro, is yet to improve on what he did this morning. Bautista is the only rider, actually, in the combined top 9 at the moment whose better time of the day is still from the first session. This is Garrett Gerloff. I don't know why he's lost time in that third sector, probably a result of traffic. He might have had to just pass Domi Agata, who is now behind him. Garrett 14th at the moment. Certainly a lot happier in his personal life as he now makes the trip back across the pond to Texas. He's happy to be back with his family, but I bumped into his mate Brad Schwartzrock, who's here this weekend, and he was, until the end of last season, doing all of Garrett's blogs. Brad's come for the first time this year, and he said Garrett's just trying to get on top of jet lag now, so he's staying up for 2 days before he catches the flight, so he doesn't feel too tired when he gets back to Europe.
Tyre big drop. Left corner pumping. We saw it, didn't we? From the one lap that he did to the second lap, it was a half a second difference. So the BMW are having problems in this high heat, low grip circuit on keeping the consistency and longevity of the tyre performance. Ryan Vickers here clinging onto the fan, look, trying to keep cool in these hot conditions. Ryan is 1.9 seconds off in 17th as it stands.
Yes, he is about to race here at Misano for the first time in World Superbikes, and Agata getting out of the way. There's Gerloff coming through again. Hopefully not jet lagged then this weekend, but it's a serious issue. It's something that can often affect riders when they go out to do testing at Suzuka as well, ahead of the 8 hours. We've had incidents there before because riders have been tired, having just got off a plane and then lapping Suzuka in the heat and humidity there. And don't forget the 8 hour is coming up in August here on TNT Sports. Jonathan Rea, yes, finally, that's some positivity. Some orange sector times coming in for Rea, who's on the back foot if he's just switching on. They had a wiring loop problem earlier on, but like Van der Mark ahead of him, he's just exceeded track limits by touching the green paint. Bautista has gone fastest for this session in 4th place, but went quicker this morning. VDM recovering up to 13th. Let's see what Jonathan Rea can do this time around.
Yeah, not much, unfortunately, for Jonathan. Down in 16th, 1.7 seconds off. Wow. Well, let's not forget third is 0.9 off. So if you take a second off that, it's kind of 0.7 that they're looking for. Forget about the top two; they're in a different stratosphere. So it's still 3/4 of a second, though, Greg, that Jonathan is trying to find on that Yamaha to be competitive to the rest of them.
And the problem is, James, when you've lost pretty much the whole morning session, you're never going to get that time back, are you? As Jonathan did. He lost that problem earlier.
And Locatelli's a 34.0, so he's only 0.4 faster than Jonathan Rea. So the Yamaha once again here having a torrid time with the strong start that they had. Obviously, Locatelli having that win back in Assen in the second race, his very first victory here in World Superbikes, but it was 2 podiums back then. But since that, they've really struggled to get inside the top 10.
Here comes Garrett Gerloff. What's he done this time? He should move up this time, yeah, but only by 1 spot, look, from 15th to 14th for the American. And like his teammate, Jeremy Alcoba, the sole Kawasaki Alcoba Supersport, Gerloff Superbike. That's another fastest lap for Bautista for this session. And he has actually done, let me just see, is that, no, he was 3/10 quicker this morning on a 33.3, so he knows there's more time available, but it obviously is much hotter here this afternoon. And Agata coming alive as well now. Now, I don't want to be cynical and say it's contract time, because people like Agata have had injuries and have been affected by injuries and missing tests, missing races. But we often do see, don't we, as it gets towards the final third of the season, James, and the second half of the season, people starting to come alive. Up to 10th now. Go Scott Redding, dear oh dear.
Wow, that is the limitations on breaking into turn 1 at Misano. The rear came right up in the air. He tried to counterbalance it with his foot, and he really dug in, didn't he? You could see the smoke coming off his boot, and he had to just kind of let off the brake, let the rear sit back down again, get it all in line, and then just go straight on. But yeah, Scott Redding a little bit frustrated. He's riding in 10th place, though. That's not a bad lap, 33.9. But watch this, down the start finish, 5th on the brakes. Rear comes up like, oh, he's got to let the front brake off. The boot smashes on the floor, and straight on he goes. But that's not a bad lap from Scott. Hopefully that'll just be able to then give these guys in the garage a little bit of data on how to do that every single time and get the setting a bit more comfortable to do so.
Many thanks to our media colleague Ryan Lilly, who is here at Misano this weekend, and he's out there on track at the moment. He said Sam Lowe's bike was smoking on the exit of La Quercia, and that's why he stopped down at Tremonti. So Ryan, thank you very much indeed for that. Trackside, great to have some spotters, isn't it, around the track here. Here's Jonathan Rea again then, does not exceed track limits this time. I think he's going to get a nice tow here as well, up behind the Ducati of Danilo Petrucci. Currently down in 16th is Jonathan. Where's he going to move on the Patamaxis Yamaha? It's his best lap of the day so far. Well, certainly his best lap of this session, I should say, and of the day so far. But he does stay down in 16th place.
Ryan Vickers on a PB, 1.3. If he gets this last corner right, he might be able to move up in front of Jonathan Rea. Imagine that. He does. 14th for Ryan Vickers. That's not a bad lap. 1.5 seconds off. Ahead now of Michael van der Mark, Garrett Gerloff and Jonathan Ray and Vierge as well having a toy time, obviously returning from injury, so don't expect too much from him this weekend. But Jonathan Ray's put another PB in for Sector 1.
Okay, we're into the last half minute of Superbike action here today. Don't forget, we've got 3 races here this weekend. Matt Roberts joins us this weekend. Shaky Byrne is back in the paddock as well to digest all of the activities, both on and off the track. Locatelli, as you saw there, is up to 6th. Budiger over the line. He can get one more lap in if he wants it, having taken the line there with about 8 seconds left on the clock.
Just looking at that lap time, it looks like Budiger is also having problems getting within half a second of when the tyre is good. The temperatures are so high now. Track is 45.7 degrees and the ambient is just over 30. And Toprak obviously just making sure he sees the checkered flag, so after the checkered flag he can practice a start, because the starts here at Misano are pivotal. You can see this first section, right, left, right again before turn 4, and if you're not in track position at that point there, turn 4, it's very difficult to gain any more positions on the next half of the lap.
Well done, Tara McKenzie. He's just managed to drag the MIA Honda to within a second of the leading works Honda of Iker Lecuona, and only a few tenths down on Vierge. Now, we know Vierge's carrying an injury, but even so, good lap there from Taz McKenzie on the off-the-pace MIE Honda. Ryan Vickers on the Moto Corsa Ducati improves now, and is up into 12th place. This is going to be so tight when we get to qualifying tomorrow. Yellow flags are out again, so somebody else has hit trouble. I think it's down at the Carrow hairpin yet again. It's Remy Gardner who's crashed, and it's not the hairpin, it's the one before, the right-hander of turn 13. Unlucky turn 13 on Friday the 13th. Remy Gardner's day ends in the gravel. Hopefully he's okay, because it actually has been a very strong day for Gardner, as Locker now moves up into the top 5. And there's Gardner's bike.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. That's the second crash, like you say. So the Australian's going to have a few bumps and bruises, isn't he, to wake up to in the morning. But Ryan Vickers, congratulations. That is a good effort in 12th place, 1.4 off. It's only half a second, you know, slower than third with Montella. So that is a really strong effort.
Yeah, especially when you consider how limited testing is. I mean, the pre-season was a bit of a washout at Portimao and Jerez. Ryan didn't go to the Portimao test before the round there, and neither did Scott Redding. For budgetary reasons for those smaller teams. But they did have a test here a couple of weeks ago, but that is great stuff for Redding in what is such... sorry, for Vickers, I should say, and Redding, because Redding is 11th, Vickers is 12th, in what is such a competitive field. Maybe rider of the day, though, is Mr. Montella in 3rd position.
It has to be. He's giving the Italians something to cheer about, and this man here is a sandwich between an Italian panini, as he was calling it here at Misano, with Bulega...
Piadina.
Piadina, sorry. Bulega here and Montella in 3rd. Toprak's going to have his hands full, isn't he, to get that BMW. It doesn't look as stable as the Ducati at this point. We'll have a look at the temperatures, and the weather forecast is going to be similar throughout the whole weekend. But it doesn't look like Nicola Buliga's got much of an advantage after 2 or 3 laps on the rear tyres. They look like they drop half a second after 2 laps, and then you just got to hang in there. And the race distance is 21 laps, I believe. Yes, it is 21 laps. So as he practices the start, that looked a pretty good one, didn't it, from Nicola Buliga? Can he get a victory here? He eluded him last year with 3 seconds, but can he get the first victory of his career here in Superbikes in Misano?
Nicola Budiger then on top of the world with a MotoGP testing role for next year, a new contract on the new Superbike with its double-sided swing arm, leading the current championship and leading the Friday practice sessions here at Misano in 2025. Toprak 2nd, Montella a wonderful 3rd. Bautista was quicker in the morning than he was in the afternoon, so clearly focusing on his race setup. Well done also to, under difficult circumstances, Scott Redding, 11th for him, Ryan Vickers 12th. Gardner 2 crashes this afternoon, but strong pace despite that. You have to feel for Jonathan Ray, 17th place, but he lost all of the morning session. Sam Lowes also was unlucky with a smoky mark VDS Ducati. So Sam had a problem at the start of the session, went out, and then the bike broke down. So Sam Lowes, as you can see, look, in the right-hand column, got no lap time in at all this afternoon, and only 4 laps in total. That is a massive loss of track time, and really puts Sam Lowes on the back foot now, I'm afraid, for the rest of this race weekend, having visited his team at the Spa 8-hour World Endurance event last weekend in Belgium. Here are the runs. Booliger look, 33.4, 33.4, 33.4, 33 flat, 33.1, not once but twice. He's looking good. Toprak's not too far off though, and we've seen Toprak bounce back from a difficult Friday before.
Yeah, you can see that half a second look, 32.9 and then 33.4. So you're going to have to hang in there, aren't you, after a couple of laps. 33.6 for Jari Montella, but he's not done not many 33s, has he? A couple in that first run that he did. And then this is the sectors of the circuit. Sector 1, second gear, right hand, and then third, left, and right before this turn forward. It's caught a few people out, and it's Toprak Zgatioglu from Nicolo Bulliger. Look how close it is, 9 thousandths of a second, the difference between Toprak and Nicolo in the first sector.
Bulliger's definitely found something, hasn't he, between the morning and the afternoon sessions. The two Aruba Ducatis, the works bike, sandwiching Toprak there in the top 3 of Sector 2.
Down through turn 11. Carbone, the hugely fast corner here at Misano before he goes all the way round to the turn 14 hairpin, and this is the last sector. Nicola Bulliger gets the third split, so it's 2-1. No, it's going to be 3-1 with the look of it, Greg.
Wow, so he's only losing.
Well, we will be back tomorrow for the action from the third practice session, the Super Pole and Race 1. Join us then. Bye for now.